welcome to another lecture series, and in this video lecture we will be covering global management, managing across borders. In the next few minutes or so, I will try my level best to give you a brief summary on this topic. To begin with, we need to clearly understand that what is globalization and how the collapse of time and distance is taking place with regards to globalization. Now, if you can refer your book, we went through the fact that as far as globalization is concerned, it is one of the most emerging trends in the overall world economy towards becoming more independent. Now, globalization is reflected in three developments. Number one is the rise of the global village and e-commerce. Number two is the trend of the world's becoming one big market. And number three is the rise of both mega firms and internet-enabled mini firms. The rise of the global village generally refers to the shrinking of time and space, as air travel and the electronic media have made global communication much more easier as what it was last 15-20 years back. On the other hand, the internet and the web have led to e-commerce, that is buying and selling of products through computers and networks. So we need to clarify that the global economy is the increasing tendency of the economies of nations to interact with one another as one market. Likewise, the rise of cross-border business has led to mega mergers as giant firms have joined forces and mini firms, small companies in which managers can use the internet and other technologies to get enterprise started more easily and to maneuver faster. So yes, these are some of the details with regards to globalization with reference to the collapse of time and distance. So as you can see on page number 106, I would suggest that please go through the three important developments that are there when we are discussing globalization with regards to collapse of time and distance. The next thing is that why do we need to know international management? Now, as business students, it is important that we should understand how the international management works. Now, studying international management prepares us to work with foreign customers or partners, with foreign suppliers or foreign firms that are either in the United States, China, Japan, etc. Now, international management is management that oversees the conduct of operations in or with organizations in foreign countries. And as we discussed earlier, since world has become a global village, it is very obvious from that viewpoint that we need to understand and we need to have expertise in knowing international management much more. The second question that comes into the picture is that how can we be a successful international manager? Now, the successful international manager is not ethnocentric or polycentric. Rather, they are geocentric. Now, you may ask this question that what is ethnocentric, polycentric, or geocentric? Now, in order to clarify this, ethnocentric managers are the ones who believe that their native country, culture, language, and behavior are superior to all others. Polycentric managers, they take the view that native managers in the foreign offices best understand native personnel and practices. Whereas geocentric managers accept that there are differences and similarities between home and foreign personnel and practices, and that they should use whatever technique is the most effective and efficient. So if this is clear, we move one step further by looking at why and how companies expand internationally. Now, companies expand internationally for at least five main key reasons. They seek cheaper or meaningful, or you could say they are looking for cheap or more plentiful supplies. Number two, they want to enter into new markets. Number three, they would like to lower their labor cost. Number four is that they would like to access to finance capital. And number five is that they would like to avoid tariffs or uh, import quotas and so forth. With this in mind, there are also five ways in which companies expand internationally that we need to keep a note of. Number one is that the companies expand internationally because they engage in global outsourcing by using suppliers outside the company with reference to any country that they could find more suitable. Number two is that they engage in importing, exporting, and counter trading. And number three is that they engage in licensing and franchising. Number four is that they engage in joint ventures, a strategic alliance to share the risk and rewards of starting a new enterprise together in a foreign country. And number five is that they become wholly owned subsidiaries or foreign subsidiaries that are totally owned and controlled by an organization. If this is clear, we move to the next subtopic, and that is the world of free trade, regional economic cooperation. I would request that you must refer page number 121 and onwards to clarify your understanding on the topic that is the world of free trade. But just to give you a little bit heads up, free trade is the movement of goods and services among nations without political or economic obstructions. Countries often use trade protectionism, as you must have studied in your economics or in your international trade and relations classes. Now, the use of government regulations to limit the imports of goods and services or to protect their domestic industries against foreign competition comes all under the umbrella of protectionism. Now, three barriers to free trade and tariffs. I'll again repeat, there are three barriers to free trade, and that are either you put tariffs, or you place import quotas, or you go for embargoes and sanctions. So please refer the following pages for further clarification. The importance of understanding cultural differences. Now, this is a very interesting topic that the chapter covers. We need to clarify, and we need to make this very clear to us as business students, that misunderstanding and miscommunications often arise because one person does not understand the expectations of a person from another culture. Now, since we are living in a global village, and as we have discussed earlier, that there are no boundaries, so it's very important that we should understand the cultural differences that are there between societies, between countries, and so forth. Now, in low context cultures, the shared meanings are primarily derived from written and spoken words. In high context cultures, people rely heavily on situational cues for meaning when communicating with others. Now, Hofstede proposed the four cultural dimensions, which identified the four dimensions along which national culture can be placed. Now, first one is individualism, collectivism. Number two is power distance. Number three is uncertainty avoidance. And number four is masculinity and femininity. Now, since you guys are working on your upcoming final exams, I would recommend that you please go through these four dimensions in detail, and if there are any questions or any queries, please feel free to ask. In the end, I would just like to say that managers need to consider all these cultural dimensions in order to run business more efficiently and effectively. Thank you very much and all the very best.